Hello guys and welcome to the first video on this channel. I hope you can understand me, I've got a pretty bad German accent, but yeah, I wanted to show you my Star Wars book collection. All the stuff I've got here is from the old expanded universe. I don't like the new canon as much as I do with the old canon. Yeah, I just started collecting these books like 2 months ago, so it's not that much, but I think it's pretty okay, and I didn't read much of them. I'm not through all of them, so yeah. We're starting at A New Hope novelization, which is ghostwritten by Alan D. Foster. Here you see George Lucas' name on the cover. It was actually released 1 year before the movie in, I think, December 1976. And it's basically the movie, but I think it holds up to today's standards. I could read it very well, and yes, I think these novelizations are very good because, you know, you can get into the minds of the characters and what they actually think in some of the situations in the movie. It's pretty much chronologically right here, all the books chronologically after A New Hope. So we have Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina, which tells stories from all the people and aliens and strange creatures we see in the cantina in A New Hope. All the stories are written by different authors. Big names like Timothy Zahn also wrote stories in this book. And I think it's pretty cool. You learn about a lot of the characters from the movies. There are some very good illustrations before each story begins, and I like this book. Then we go over to Scoundrels, which is a Timothy Zahn book, which is, in my opinion, the best Star Wars author because he's very good at portraying characters from the movies and introducing new characters. Characters like Mara Jade and Grand Admiral Thrawn became fan favorites, and I think, yeah, he's my favorite Star Wars author. And I actually didn't read this yet. It's about Han, Chewie, and Lando, and I think it's like Ocean's 11 with Star Wars in it. And now we got to the book I actually read through. It's Allegiance, which is also by Timothy Zahn. And this book is about the Hand of Judgment, which is a rogue stormtrooper unit who fight against the rebels, but don't necessarily agree with the ideals of the Empire or what the Empire has become after the destruction of the first Death Star. And it's also about Mara Jade, which is a very important character later, but she was introduced in another book to which we will come a bit later. Then we come to Choices of One. It's just a follow-up to this book, and I haven't read it yet. You can see Mara Jade here on the cover, pretty good artwork, and yeah, it's by Timothy Zahn, again. Then we come to Honor Among Thieves, which is a book that, one of the last Legends books actually, I think it was released in 2012, and it focuses on Han Solo. I think it has something to do with the Rakata and ancient technology in the Star Wars universe. I'll have to mention, I'm pretty new with the books, but I know some stuff about the expanded universe. I played the games and read some of the comic books, and yes, I was always interested in the expanded universe since I've gotten to Star Wars like 5 years ago. Then we have Star Wars Galaxies, The Ruins of Dantooine, which is actually a tie-in to the game Star Wars Galaxies, an MMO which was cancelled in 2011 when The Old Republic launched. I haven't played it, but I heard some pretty good stuff from this game. You know, I was very young when Galaxies actually released. This book is not very good. It's poorly written. It's from Veronica Whitney Robinson, and I thought it was kind of okay, the stuff I read from this book, but I heard from the people that actually played the game that it is very nostalgic, and it portrays animals and the and you can recognize places from the game, but I haven't played it, so I haven't got these connections in this book. Then we got to the first, it's actually the first Star Wars Expanded Universe novel, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which was released, I think, in 1978, 1 year after the movie, and it should be, and George Lucas originally wanted it to be the follow-up to A New Hope and actually become a movie, but then it was changed to The Empire Strikes Back. But this is still a valid Legends book, and I haven't read it yet. It seems pretty okay. It's about Luke and Leia who travel to the planet Mimban, and they meet Darth Vader, and I think Leia later fights Vader with a lightsaber, which should be pretty cool, but yeah, haven't read it yet. I've actually got no problem with this Legends banner. I think it's actually good when we buy them from the Disney version, so Disney sees we still want to read these books and want them continued. Then we got Razor's Edge, which is from the same line as Honor Among Thieves. It concentrates on Leia, and I think she meets survivors of the destruction of Alderaan, and yes, it's just another Star Wars story about the big three, Luke, Leia, Han, and Chewie. I got this reading order in which I read these books from Matt Wilkins, which is a Star Wars Legends YouTuber. He has a series called My Expanded Universe, and there he shows like the real chronological order for all the books. You should really check him out. I'll put him in the description below. Yeah, then we come to the Empire Strikes Back novelization, which is also, it's from Donald Glut, and I haven't read it yet, and then I stopped, and I stopped at episode 5 with this particular. Next we have Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void, which is the first book in chronological order. It's set in the Old Republic 25,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, and it shows the old Jedi Order and the beginning of the Force Wars and Tython. If you're interested in this particular timeline, it's good to check this book out. Then we continue with Lost Tribe of the Sith, the collected stories. These were ebooks, and now they were packaged in a paperback here. And there's also a comic book which I don't see right now. I forgot to show it. But there's also a comic book which continues these stories, and they're about a Sith ship that crash lands on a planet and they have to build a new society and face monsters and stuff like that. Then we come to the books for the Old Republic game. The first one is Revan, which continues the story of Darth Revan from the Knights of the Old Republic game, and this shows Revan between KOTOR and SWOTOR. Pretty interesting if you played the games, but I think it's also readable if you don't play the games. Then we come to Red Harvest, which is not very good. It's a prequel to a later book called Death Troopers. It's about Sith zombies, and it's like a semi-horror game book. If you're interested in horror, stuff like that, I think you can read it, but Deceived was actually a really good book. It's about Darth Malgus, one of my favorite Sith Lords, and it shows his connection to his slave, Alina, and their romance, and portrays the events from the trailer Deceived in a much more rich way. And I thought it is actually the best book from the Old Republic series. I haven't read Fatal Alliance yet, but from what I've heard, it seems to be really good too. And then I've got the last books, The Truth at Bakura. The last books I've got. The Truth at Bakura, which is it plays 6 hours after the Battle of Endor. It immediately continues the events of Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. And it's about a war that's erupted on a far planet, and there are some alien species. It's written by Kate Desires, and if you open the book, there's actually like a dedication to John Williams, and I have to respect her for doing that. I think it shows that you really love this universe when you put this inside of your book. and I think it's pretty okay. It's good. If you're interested in what happened exactly after the Battle of Endor, I think it's a good read. And then we get to the most legendary Star Wars books, probably of all time: Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and The Last Command, the Swan Trilogy, which is written by Timothy Zahn. It was published in 1992, and the expanded universe was born out of this book. It's about Luke, Leia, and Han continuing their adventures. There are famous characters introduced like Mara Jade and the brilliant Grand Admiral Thrawn. And this is the first book I actually read, and I thought it's very, very great. I think it's my favorite Star Wars book. Then continued by Dark Force Rising and The Last Command, which also are very, very great and good reads. And I think it's essential to read these books if you want to get into the expanded universe. And yes, that was the first video on this channel. Please tell me down below if you could understand me or if my accent was too bad. And I hope we see each other in the next video again, and may the 4th be with you, always.